3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash. Here is today's comic, Spider-Man Life Story number 4, the 90s. With me, as always, is Stan the Man, my amazing co-host and basically father of comics. Stan, what do you think about this? I think Marvel is finally doing you proud with your creation. These first 3 issues have been fantastic. What do I think about this next issue? More importantly, what do you think? That's what fans really want to know. Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley. Mark Bagley is a classic Spider-Man artist from the 90s. He had the unenviable role of picking up from Eric Larson, who picked up from Todd McFarlane, 2 of the most legendary Spider-Man artists of all time, and Mark Bagley had to step into some shoes. That was a difficult role to fill. He's been brought back. I'm not sure that he's the best choice of artist for this series. I know he's a classic Spider-Man artist, but this is not a classic Spider-Man story. It is in some ways, but it's classic in a different sense. It's classic in the way that Marvel's was to Marvel. It reveres the classic Spider-Man, but it tells a story in a different way. If you've been following my reviews, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But you shouldn't just be following my reviews. You should be reading this book. This is a high recommend. Let's get on with it. So we get the normal breakdown, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read it because if you don't know what's been happening, you should be seeing my other reviews. You should be reading the book. What am I talking about? Let's see, though. It's Chapter 4, Brothers in Arms. Now, we start off, and it's 1995. Do you remember where you were in 1995? I was just about getting out of comics, I think. I don't remember the exact year I got out of comics, but there's a big fire going on. And here we see 2 characters. And this is kind of a good example of why Bagley is not the best choice for this book. I'm going to explain why. Do you know who this character is? I was thinking that this was the character, I forget his name, the photographer character who's the main person from Marvel's. Marvel's came out in the 90s. It's a very iconic book for like that period of time. And I was like, oh, awesome. Zdarsky did his homework. He's bringing that character into this period because that's when the book existed, even though that character was technically in the 60s. But Marvel's told a similar type of story where it aged through generations, right? So I was like, oh, this would be perfect. But that's not him. Nope. This is Ben Reilly. Now, it makes sense that Ben Reilly's also will be a photographer like Peter Parker, but I didn't get any sense of that at all. I was like, wait a second. That doesn't look like Peter. Now, obviously, Peter is older. This is 10 years from the previous book. Dr. Octopus is showing up, and he's threatening people. Doc Ock knows who he is. That's how we know who he is, because he identifies him. How the hell Doc Ock is able to tell the difference? I don't know. I guess because they look way different. So now this is what Peter Parker actually looks like today. So, can you see? Does this guy look like this guy? They should be exact twins. Anyways, I digress. This is Tony Stark. Peter now has Parker Industries, Parker Industries. And they're having a discussion here. Tony wants to buy out Peter or merge or whatever. And Peter's like, okay, stop making weapons. And Stark's like, what? My weapons won the Russian war. They save lives. My weapons keep peace across the world. You make cell phones and adhesives. You want to make me the villain here? Fine, I'll be the villain. But picture a world without Tony Stark. He's Mary Jane and Peter's kids. Mary Jane has left Peter because, like most women, they can't be loyal to a man who's not meeting their every need at every second. And if Peter has to save the world rather than give them attention, screw you, Peter. you missed a date with us because you saved some lives, so I'm out of here. I fault society kind of more than I fault the writers here, but it's very aggravating to me. This is completely true to life. I live in San Diego, grew up in San Diego, and it's a military town. More importantly, it's a Navy town. Navy people go off on deployments all the time. Sometimes they can go be away from home 6 weeks at a time or 6 months at a time. Nowadays, that's the norm because we've been at war all this time. And troops in Afghanistan, all this stuff. Like, if you're a millennial, you probably don't understand what it's like not to be at war. But before that, we just had, and it's very hard on Navy wives. The rate of infidelity among Navy wives is horrendous. Horrendous. I used to work on a military base all the time. Husband goes away at sea, woman gets lonely, hooks up with other guys. It's like, dude, this guy, oh man, every time it used to fire me up so much. This guy is going out and putting his life on the line. He could die to serve his country. And your gratitude is to hook up with another guy. Like, I get it, you're lonely. It's not like that dude's, on a ship of, prostitutes. He's out. He's not with his wife either. He misses you, and anyways, I'm way diverging here, but it sucks to see this in comics. And this was, this is a mini series. It's trying to tell a Spider-Man story as a what if. What if Spider-Man was told and he aged, and it wasn't really comics, it was more realistic. So I'm going to buy into this for this story. It doesn't make me happy to see it, though. But this is what really also bothered me about the mainstream comic line of Peter with Mary Jane divorcing him in that line. And that's another reason this kind of needs to happen, too, because in the comic history, Mary Jane does divorce. Like, that makes me angry. That shouldn't... Anyway, I'm so diverging. You can tell I have a sore spot. So here, because Peter is alone and is without his wife or whatever, he's hooking up with Jessica Jones. Thought it would have been Felicia. At first I thought that was for some reason, but as I read it, it's like, oh, and they're having a little bit of flirtatious thing here. And, he's like, is it your place or mine tonight? Neither. Sorry, Jess. I'm just exhausted, and Stark's plotting a takeover, so I have to start planning to save this company. If I even want to save it. You're always saying that. Parker Industries is your life, Peter. And what does that say about me? What kind of life is that? Okay. I enjoy this book, and I think this book is well written, but I need to stop here for a second. What kind of life is that? What kind of life? Parker is the CEO of a presumably multi-billion-dollar company that helps people. He's also, on the side, a superhero who helps people. What more kind of a life do you need? I'm wondering here, what is the author telling me should be a kind of a life? What more should any person expect from Peter Parker? What kind of wife is like, you're just a bum making a big, making a mega corporation and on the side going out and helping people as superhero. Like, this guy is a model. Like, if we're painting this guy as like, oh, I don't know what kind of life I'm leading. Everyone else reading this book should feel pathetic. There's no one watching this video right now, I think, that can live up to this. Every one of us, all of us, just hang our heads in shame because we're shit. If this is not good, I don't know what the fuck we are. I'm still doing it, Spider-Man. Dutiful, joyless, like an old man's trip to the gym every day. I've tried to stop to see if I could actually give it up, maybe win MJ back. But with great power comes great guilt. I can't turn my back on people who need help. Maybe I'm just trying to trick myself into thinking I'm helping. Maybe Stark is right. Look at the big picture. While I stop muggers and bank robbers, and whoa, police radio just clicked into my earpiece. Have it set to monitor the keywords, and well, it's a keyword I never thought I'd hear again. Spider-Man, show yourself! And here we get Otto Octavius wrecking havoc, and bravo Mark Bagley for this scene. This is awesome. Seeing Octavius kind of floating in the air here with his tentacles propping him up, and he's just holding a bus, and there's crashed cars and fire. This is classic Spider-Man villain. I've got nothing to lose. The last time I saw him, it was at May's funeral. So Spider-Man goes in and gonna pay for this later. Doctor says I should only catch cars these days. And that's classic Spider-Man kind of witty lines, just that's funny. Spider-Man, or should I say Peter? Oh man, he knows how. Time is short, son. I no longer have the luxury of toying with you. The clock is ticking. It's deafening. I just need results. And he's tossing cars. He's lost it. Move it, old man, move it. So Peter's bouncing around, catching cars. And this is classic Spider-Man, of course, middle-aged Spider-Man, but nobody dies. Nobody. Ugh, just catches a car, smashes into him. Well done, Peter. Save the day yet again. God. Octavio gasses him. Your aunt would be so proud. Doc, don't. Pete, And so Harry's there. What's going on? We're at Oscorp. Or is that Occorp? Ben, Hey, Pete, been a while. Family reunion. So the whole premise here is that Doc Ock has found out about the cloning. And he's discovered that cloning, he can live and use this technology to stop himself from aging and whatever. And during this whole process, he's trying to reverse engineer. That's the whole purpose. He's catch them because they're the only surviving specimens. And all the data's been lost or whatever. So he's going to reverse engineer what's going on. And during the reverse engineering process, he discovers, dun, 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 this can't be right. Peter Parker is the clone. What are you? He's Ben, it's not possible. Listen to me, he can't. And then in a fit of Hulk rage here, Ben, or should we say Peter, spurgs out. That wasn't my memories, and now it turns out you stole my life. And I don't quite understand this whole spurging because Ben got the girl. Ben got Gwen Stacy. Peter didn't. Yes, okay, your life wasn't Peter, it was Ben. But you had a life. I don't quite get this, but whatever. Suspension of disbelief for the narrative. I get what the author's trying to do. It's not really that big of a critique. I was like, what? So he freaks out on Doc Ock, punching the shit out of him, and Ben over here now is like, I don't know, Harry, I have to put an end to it. Ben, stop, you're gonna kill him. When I have Peter Parker's sense of right and wrong, Ben, please, who am I, Peter? Did you suspect all these years? Did you know? Ben. And then we get Stan's soapbox. I covered this in the Silver Surfer review, which please watch. I know it's a longer review, but it's a very meaningful, emotional review. And that one's worth checking out. I didn't know when they're having this whole dramatic scene, and Doc Ock's like, I can still get the secrets from their corpses. And he thrusts his arm in, claw closed to Pierce, and Harry gets in the way to save his old pal Peter and gets gutted. Oh, what a scene. No, I didn't. And he flees. He didn't mean to kill. I didn't. Meanwhile, murderer, you'll pay. And Ben or Peter, it's hard to keep track of this point, but it's I'm going to call them by their original identities as the book started. So this was Ben, comes in and he gets knocked away. Peter, Spider-Man, saves him. Pete? Oh God, Harry. I'm sorry, Pete. I'm so sorry. I was so weak. Weak with my father, weak with Otto, weak with MJ. I'm glad you married her, Pete. Glad. You saved me, Harry. You're not weak. You're... Cough, cough. Anything for you, Pete. You're my best. And he passes away. Another emotional moment. Zdarsky has not failed to deliver on every single issue thus far with the emotion. It's a gut punch. This one maybe not as strong as other parts, but every book has a tough scene, and that's good writing. There's other aspects of comics that you need to understand: dynamicism, heroics. You need to understand how to pace for a 22-page format, how to always keep the story ending on a, to be continued type thing to keep that readership. Anyways, there's a lot of different aspects about comics. One of the ones that's really not an aspect of comic, but just a strength of writing, is emotion. Getting the reader to feel something. Comics usually don't ever do that. That's not what they're about. They're about usually more shallow stories. They're about fun, excitement, adventure. They're not supposed to be deep, resonating, change your life type of things. However, their existence and their ongoing nature of them, and their just prolific nature, and how you as a fan can just drown into comics, immerse yourself in the lives of these characters, can have life-altering nature. They've affected my life, but a single issue of a comic isn't meant to be that way. But you can do that. It's in any form of writing, it's possible to do that. And some books have done it in the past. This one's doing it here, and I have to just sing its praises. So here we have Peter. After everything's all done, he's on the roof. Ben's drawn up. Oh, glad you asked to meet. You don't have to call me that anymore. Peter, we both looked over Otto's results. He wasn't lying. You're the original. But I've lived so long as Ben, I don't even know how to begin, or if I should. I do. What? Your life is the one I've been living for almost 20 years. It's as comprehensive as I could make it. People in your orbit, passwords, routines, access to the private lab, all of our costumes, everything you need to pick it all back up. But it's been so long. This is you, not me. I've given it a lot of thought. I've spent decades building this business, being Spider-Man, while you never had the chance to achieve your potential. How would we explain it if a man who just looked like me started his own company and went out as a superhero with the same powers? People would eventually make connections. You lived quite a life, while I lived a loud one. But I'm tired now. I can't do it anymore. But you can. You're probably itching by this point, especially knowing you're the real Peter now. I know I would be. So take it, Peter Parker. It's all yours. Wait. I know years ago when I left, I promised I wouldn't draw attention by, being a superhero. But we're both Peter Parker, so sorry, neither of us can escape our stupid sense of responsibility. No, I suppose we can't. But we can shift it to where it matters. So long, Peter. Take care, Peter. Another good heartfelt moment here. And then Peter's walking around and calls, Jessica, Peter, I thought you were dead. Sorry about that. A lot's happened in the last week. Yeah, well, you can also add to the list that I dumped your ass. Whatever, shut up. And that's wildly fair. Look, I'll tell you later what's been going on. For now, I just need to know, where is he? So he's been using Jessica, well, not using her, but he's used her service as a private investigator to find Norman Osborn. And he goes to confronts Norman about, the whole things. And Norman's been kind of behind the scenes. He's been trying to ruin Peter Parker since he's an old man now and all this stuff. And he used Harry. He doesn't know that Harry's dead. So he plotted the results that of the cloning and used Doc Ock. Peter's like, but because Peter's a scientist. I did my own testing, Norman. I'm still the original Peter Parker. Clever boy. It would have been something, undoing your life. But I bet there was a moment of doubt, wasn't there? Oh, I wish I could have seen it. No doubt, Norman. Clarity. Thank you for that. You smug, you put me in prison, you ruined my life, blah, 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 blah. And he talks about how he plotted all these things, this takeover and all that. Like, and how he used Harry, and Peter's like, oh my God, you don't even know. Harry's dead. Otto killed him. And Osborn's just like, what? Oh, the webs we weave is the theme of this storyline. So much death. I'm done, Norman. I hope you find some sort of peace. No, he can't. He can't be my Harry. My son never meant to be. So, here's the classic villain reaping what they sowed, but they can't take it. They still can't find it in themselves to know that they're at fault. Classic villain doesn't accept responsibility. He takes it and redirects it as anger. He blames someone else. Where do you see this in today's society, by the way? I won't mention it, but I think you know what we're talking about. Parker, you're why this happened. You're the reason my son's dead. You killed my boy. It's over, Norman. And he crushes the glider. It'll never be over. And then he has a heart attack. And even in his dying words, as his heart's failing, hate you. And this death grasp. Oh, Norman. You could have been so much more. Even after everything, you had a son who loved you. But what were you doing? Plotting revenge, locked in battle with me. We see Peter's driving through the mountains. You had a son who loved you. He's driving up. And here we see little boy Parker and little sis coming out, hug their dad. Tears. Mary Jane walking towards the house. Damn, Chip Zdarsky. What did you think of that, Stan? Thumbs up? I thought so. Look, this one probably had the most things to critique in the issue so far, but few comics are with that beyond critique. This was just another solid, I don't want to say home run, but let's say a good triple, an RBI. This was a good issue. And the other books, issue 3 is still my favorite. This is a solid miniseries. Do not miss it. This is the Marvels of the 20 teens. We've often talked about comics. At least I do. When I talk about comics, people say, oh, comics are as good as they've always been. And I'm like, no. Name something that's in the last 10 years that's going to go down as an all-time classic, like a Watchmen or a Marvels or a Kingdom Come or Dark Knight Returns or an Infinity Gauntlet I'm struggling to remember all these like classic great storylines. There's nothing. There's no great comics anymore. There's good comics here and there. There's some, good things being done, but there's no, oh my God, 20 years from now, people are going to look back and just go, The Long Halloween, Arkham Asylum. There's just no one going back and looking at these things like they are, especially at Marvel. But I think this might be it. I think this is the book that 20 years from now you're going to look back and be like, wow, what an achievement in writing and treatment of get out of the frame of a classic character. This is a milestone book. I love it. It gets all my recommendations, 5 stars. The only thing I could really I'm not gonna talk about that. So yes, get this book. And I hope you like it as much as I do. Stan, thanks for giving us Spider-Man. It's time for another JL8 webcomic, number 44 by Yale Stewart. So, John, when are you getting a new suit? Probably not for some time. My father just purchased this one. No, like a real suit. I'm not sure I understand. This is a real suit. No, like one with armor and pockets and gadgets and belts and stuff. My jacket has pockets. Oi.